go through using the Simple Pulse. This is the new version that came out in 2020, and we're brand new to Simple Pulse too. We didn't have the older version, although I did use it at a friend's house, and I love this one because it's oil-free and all that good stuff. So normally I keep it covered so we don't get a lot of dust in it, since we are in an open, kind of an open air area.
And that's just a barbecue cover, right?
It is a, yeah, it is a grill cover that I bought. And then, we'll turn this around. So these jars are really nice. They have this lid that has a spout on it that can pour, and that's after the filter, because there's a filter in this part. So you can pour and it's already filtered for you, which is awesome. Or you could store it in this jar too if you wanted to. So this attaches to the milk piece. And then this, I used to leave it on here, but it was getting moisture in it and it wasn't working very well, so now I take it off every day so that it can dry out. Because we are in Central Texas, it's very humid here, so other people may not have the problems that we have. And then I like to cover these up too. This is just a bread bag, so it's kind of porous, and you can let them dry out in there. And I did buy these, I spent the extra $100 each on these inflations, because first I got the Nigerian size, because we do have all mini goats. But I didn't like those because they were too long and they were hitting the bottom of the milk stand. And I found that really gross. It just bothers me with the germs and stuff. And they also just looked really a little bit painful. They were leaving rings around the teats, because the teats that some of these girls have are the wider kind of teats. And I felt like it was painful for them a little bit. I mean, it wasn't horrible. I would have used them if I didn't have this option, but I bought these instead, and they've been amazing. So I recommend everyone buy these first and save yourself a little bit of money in the long run.
Okay, so how this works is, so we have the one that's set up to do two at the same time, but we usually just do one. So we have it set up on here, going to this jar. So what happens here is, these get put on the goat. This gets turned on, and this gets put on the goat, and then the milk's, coming all the way through. The small line is the line that's creating the suction, and then this bigger line is the one that's got the milk coming through it. This is the pulsator, so this creates the pulsing to draw the milk, and the vacuum for that. So it goes through, creates the vacuum, comes back, the milk's coming through, and the milk goes through here, goes through a filter, and goes down into here. And this air is also helping it draw through. We have like a air filter over here. So that's kind of the basic components of how it works.
Oh yeah, and this thing we don't use really on a regular basis, but it is made to dry out the tubes if you want to dry out the whole system.
So you can hook the tubes to this and dry it that way. And then down here you'll see there's another jar, and that's for overflow. So you have room for 2 jars up here that are hooked into the system, and you can also, if you're not milking 2 goats, you can hook these together. So there's an overflow into another jar up here, or there's an overflow down here into this jar down here. And we learned that if you forget to put this jar on, the whole system doesn't work. So make sure your overflow jar is hooked in, or you're going to be wondering why the system isn't working.
Okay, so just a quick note, we do everything natural on our farm. We try to use chemicals as little as possible. And so we use essential oils for our teat dip. And honestly, I just use lavender right now. If they didn't have babies on them, because they do have their kids on them during the day, I will occasionally use a drop of tea tree, which helps prevent staph and any kind of that kind of bacteria. But lavender is great too with bacteria. And this already has it in there, but this is just water, and then it has about 7 to 10 drops of lavender. And then with our buckets, which you'll see later how we clean out the tubing at the end, I just use the doTERRA On Guard, which is basically beads oil. I don't care about the brand. I use doTERRA just because I feel like it's safe with the animals internally, and we do use it for help with worming, but use whatever kind you want to use. And that's how we clean, because I do not use bleach with my animals and with myself, honestly, because I don't like to breathe it in. So that's what we use. We can get started. Amelia's the first up, and today is her birthday, so everyone say happy second birthday to Amelia. She just kidded a few months ago, and it was her first kidding, and she had quads. So she is a quad herself. She is a mini New Mancha, so her mama is a mini Nubian, and her sire is a mini La Mancha. So she came out with little ears like her sire, like her papa. And some of her siblings got her dams longer ears, or rat ears, because they aren't pendulous. These girls are unregistered ones, but she actually gives me a really good amount of milk, and I've been very pleased with her. So I may end up milk testing her next year when I feel less stressed from all the other stuff we have going on. And if I milk test her and she gets her stars, then her kids can be registered through TMGR, which is one of the goat registries, the mini goat registry. So we do. So that was me. I just stripped out the teats. I wiped her down with everything. Sometimes I will use wipes first if they're super dirty, and then I use the teat dip that I talked about. And then I just strip out a few squirts of the milk so that any of the bacteria that was lingering inside the teat comes out and it's not in our milk. And then I go ahead and begin. Alright. So I like to milk from the side. Some people milk from the back. But I'm always afraid of a tick in the face, even though most of my goats are pretty well behaved. So that is what that looks like. And I do end up holding these more than I would if I was milking from the back. And the milk comes down pretty fast. And we actually started a routine this year where we sing to the goats. I'm probably not going to sing today, but every goat has their own song, and they know when we're singing it to let down their milk, and it just helps them get into a routine.
And that's something that pastoral people have been doing, herders have been doing for thousands of years with their animals, is singing to them. So we like to carry on the tradition. And what's Amelia's song?
Amelia's song is You Are My Sunshine. She's one of my favorite goats. She's just so well behaved and sweet. Her babies are all really nice too. So I end up massaging the udder a fair amount when I do this, just because it helps get the milk out. And Amelia with her quads did have mastitis the first couple weeks. And so I ended up doing a lot of massage with her just because she had some lumps and everything. And we did treat that naturally with homeopathics, and it went away right away. But everyone gets a little bit of a massage to find all that milk that they store up in there. And I just watch for it to, for them to run, the milk starts flowing a little bit slower. And then sometimes they have a second letdown and more milk comes out again. And some of them don't. So we just watch that.
Hi, Niels. Good girl. Now you're going to put it at the camera. So here we have a pressure valve too. If you flip this to the front, it'll show you what the pressure is. So Simple Pulse recommends pressure around 12. This is around 10 right now, but it's doing really well, so we'll probably just leave it at that for right now. But you can adjust the pressure right over here. We want to flip this backwards so we don't lose all our glycerine out of there.
Pull these off. To pull this kind off, you pull these green parts down, and then it releases the suction. And then I just close this and turn it off and hang it back up for now until we have the next goat coming. And then I always end up milking out the rest because the milk machine really doesn't get all of it. and we want to take all of it so that they make more for us. She's usually not this naughty, but she wants some more alfalfa and sunflower seeds, which she picks out of the grain. So she's being a little bit naughty today. But normally she's really well behaved and stands still for me. I don't know what she's doing. She just wants to show off on her birthday that she can be naughty too, but usually she does stand. She's a little bit harder for me to milk, hand milk, because her teats do go out to the side a little bit. So I'm making a bit of a mess, but typically I just try to get all that I can out. And she does have 2 babies left nursing on her during the day, so they'll also be taking out a good amount. I promise I can handle it. She's just a little messier. And then at the end, with her, usually I will put some colloidal silver on her udder and let that dry on its own, just because she has had some scabbing and stuff. She's a new mom. And then I'll do that with some of the other ones if they have staph or anything like that. Getting staph can be kind of common if it's wet outside and they're laying in wet spots, because it gets their udder damp. So you do need to watch out for that, but it's not something that is contagious unless you have open wounds on your hands, and a lot of people do choose to milk with gloves on. And actually I do use gloves for some of these goats just because I know who's going to kick me and I don't want a dirty foot on my hand. So I'll wear gloves for that. But Amelia doesn't have staph, so I'm not worried about that. And then when they're done, I do pull the food away, because they'll just stand here and eat forever. But then they get a cracker, an animal cracker if they were good, which they always look forward to. And then she's done, although she doesn't want to be done. Come on, Amelia, let's go outside. She's going after the sunflower seeds. Good job, thank you. Thanks for your milk.
Go see your babies.
Alright, Bunny's up next. See, somebody did get me dirty already. So, I do use baby wipes with her. I know she likes to lay in gross places. She always has messy feet. I don't know what she does. Well, some of them have different, obviously every goat is different, they have different structure. She has her teeth kind of right behind her legs, or right under her legs, and so it's not as easy to get to them. I'm sure I would have better luck if I milked from behind like everyone else does, but I like having the goat next to me. I like being able to rest my head on them, especially when I don't have a hat on. You can put your forehead on the goat, and it just feels like you're creating a bond, and you can feel them breathing, and you can talk to them, and it just feels like you're more up here by their head, and you're not losing them as much, if that makes sense. So I'll probably always milk from the side, but we'll see. So Bunny has a singleton, and so she ends up having more milk on one side than the other, which her udder is very even, but it's just because she drinks more from one side, and so it's created a little bit of an unevenness, and we haven't been as good about milking her out on the one side. In the beginning we did, so that she didn't have any mastitis problems, but now it's been less of an issue. So I just always know that she's going to have more in this side, because she has a favorite side too. she's a first freshener, so her manners aren't totally perfect, but I think she does pretty darn well. She raises up a foot, but she doesn't really kick at me. Right, Bunny? There, good girl. Good girl. And then you can just, we always thought it looked rough when we were learning to milk goats, but their babies are so rough on them that they're really used to being patted a bit to get that milk to come down. So that is how that looks. And then I don't clean them off if I don't have a reason to, because there's nothing on her that's harmful for the kids. And I like to leave them dry so that there's not, you know, it doesn't feel good to have a wet udder and go outside in the cold. So you are done, kiddo. Put your animal cracker. You were a good girl. You were a good girl. Now we gotta go. Go find your baby. Just your baby. Butter. Go find him.
All right, Kissy. Kissy. Kissy, Paige and Kissy. Come on, Kissy. Kissy only.
She is not as dirty. She knows where to lay. And by the way, these are bar towels. I got some bar towels, some washcloths, and some baby diapers and baby wipes, cloth baby wipes to try out. And probably the bar towels are my favorite, and the washcloths are a close second. I do not like using baby diapers pre-folds because they just absorb too much of the liquid, and then I can't actually clean them off very well. So, the goats, that is.
And Kissy was our first goat.
Kissy was our first goat. She is an unregistered mini La Mancha, and she gave us triplet doelings this year, which we are super excited about. And she's a very good mama. She has very big, hardy babies. She doesn't like the part of getting them attached, but then she's alright after that. And sometimes I'll brush them off. That also helps them drop their milk. And so I have a brush up here that I can't reach right now, but sometimes I'll just brush them and talk to them, sing to them and all that to just get them to release their milk, lower their milk, let down their milk, and relax. And the lavender helps too. The smell of the essential oil helps them relax into it. So. So we did buy the two-sided machine like she said, but I don't know if I'm ever going to use the other side because I am very involved in all of this. You can see how much massage I give them, and I talk to them and I lay with them. So I don't think I could handle having two going at once. I don't know if I'll change my mind. This is our third year with dairy goats, and I don't know if later I will. I just can't imagine imagine wanting to feel less connection and trying to go faster. So I think we'll probably stick to one side, but having two sides is nice because we may end up getting a dairy cow because I love whipped cream, and then we'll be set for the dairy cow with both sides because you can use them on a cow, which obviously has 4 teats. So it leaves options open, which is nice. Alright, so to get these off, again, just watch my thumb. You press down with it and then you pull it off, and it's very gentle that way. If you had seen the other inflations that we have, you basically are just yanking it off in a way that like pulls the teat, and there's no nice way to do it.
But this one, those things go up and down.
Yeah, this goes up and down. So there's a button on the bottom that you push to that makes it go up to suction it on, and then you pull it down when you're done.
And here's our milk so far. Now Kissy has been hand milking for the past 3 years. She's used to this.
And she was hand milked before we got her. She was 2 freshenings in when we got her, and we've had her for 3. She's given a lot of doelings and only 2 bucklings with her 5 freshenings. Very impressive. I know that's really actually the sire that chooses the gender of the kids with the sperm, but she's had very good luck.
She's had 5 different sires and she's still super doe heavy.
Yes.
So maybe it's not all about the bucks. The bucks just want you to think that. It's not true, it's buck propaganda.
Alright, so she is done.
Alright, well, you're not milking out a lot. You're just milking out a little bit.
Right, and this is like, you can see in here, there's no filter. There's like bits of debris. There's probably some hair. I can't see it right now. But this will be filtered out, and we actually, now that we're milk machine snobs, this just goes to the animals. So the goats, the baby goats that we have that are either from a dairy that we got or they were rejected by their moms here, they will be drinking this. Normally, back in the day before our machine, we would just drink this, obviously. There's nothing wrong with it.
You just need to filter it.
Yeah,
You just need to
filter
filter it. I think Banjo, oh, they came to visit. You think she's trying to find her babies, but no, she's probably trying to find alfalfa.
Okay, so now we're going to get to the cleaning. We already took the milk and I poured it into, this is a gallon jar, so this was totally filled, and then we had another quart in the hand milk container. So everything's back on here except I did take the filter out because it's not needed for this. And this is how you clean the hoses. So this is my vinegar, water, essential oil mix. So I put these in so the tops get totally clean, and then you just push the button so it suctions up all the cleaner. And we'll do that. And then I do end up pouring some on here too, to get everything really clean. And then this is just regular water to get all the cleaning product out of your hoses. And I'll do that until about there, because you don't want it to overflow. So, and then I just push these for a little while so you can see the air is going through the hoses and getting a lot of the moisture out. Call it a day. Flip this knob here to close, and then shut it off. And then I'll hang it. And then we take these apart. So this, I actually I used to hang up here, but it was holding moisture because there was no way for it all to come down. So I just leave this dangling down and make sure nothing is touching it so that it stays clean. And then this thing I do take off now, like I said. I've been taking off. It's hard to do with wet hands because it's a little bit hard to get a hold of, but take that off and I stick it through here so it can dry out a little better. And I'll leave it there. Alright, so once a week you do a deeper cleaning than that. That was just the daily clean, and once a week you take the hoses inside, you take the inflations off the hoses, and you clean everything really deeply with you know, whatever you want to use. People use bleach, we use essential oils and vinegar, sometimes peroxide, and you do need to heat up vinegar and peroxide. Don't use them together, but heat up whichever one you're going to use because it kills more of the different bacteria that's in, that can be a problem with raw milk. So that's pretty much that.
And then you put the covers back on.
Right, and then I will put the covers back on this and back on these to keep everything debris free.